I paid for my sister's dream wedding. She uninvited me the morning of, so I need to tell you the full story because if I just lead with what happened at the end, you're going to think I'm exaggerating. I am not exaggerating. I could not have made this up if I tried, and I have a pretty solid imagination. Just bear with me from the beginning because the beginning is what makes the ending make sense. My sister Rochelle is 3 years younger than me and has been the favorite for as long as I can remember. I do not say that with bitterness anymore, or at least I'm trying not to, because I have spent a significant amount of money on therapy specifically to get to a place where I can say that sentence without my eye doing the thing it does. I say it because it is simply the operating reality of our family, and pretending otherwise would make this whole account dishonest. Our mother Diane decided somewhere around the time Rochelle was born that Rochelle was the delicate one, the one who needed protecting, the one whose feelings were the weather system that everything else organized itself around. I was the older one. I was the capable one. Being capable in our house was basically just a polite word for being the one whose needs were optional. I left for college on a partial scholarship and worked 2 jobs to cover the rest. Rochelle's college was fully funded by our parents without a single conversation about it. I did not make a scene about this. I was 21 and I had already internalized the rule, which was that making a scene about unequal treatment was somehow worse than the unequal treatment itself, and pointing out the imbalance only confirmed that I was difficult, and Rochelle was lovely, and wasn't it obvious why things were the way they were? After college I went into pharmaceutical sales, which is not glamorous, but is genuinely well compensated if you're good at it, and I'm good at it. I moved to Atlanta. I built a life there. I have a condo I own outright, a car I like, a friend group that feels like family in the way that chosen things sometimes feel more like family than actual family does. I am not rich, but I am stable in a way that took me a long time to build and that I'm quietly very proud of. Rochelle, meanwhile, had a rockier path, a series of jobs that never quite stuck, a first engagement that dissolved badly, some financial situations that my mother would relay to me on the phone in a lowered voice, as though Rochelle's bank account was a medical condition requiring sensitivity. About 2 years ago, Rochelle met a man named Theo, who is genuinely fine. I want to be fair. Theo is a decent person who loves my sister and treats her well and has steady work in HVAC and coaches a kid's soccer team on weekends. He is not the problem in this story. He was in fact the only other person in this story who behaved with any consistency. When they got engaged, my mother called me before she called almost anyone else, which should have been my first signal that something was coming. My mother does not lead with me unless she needs something. That is not cynicism. That is a pattern I have documented across roughly 2 decades of adult life. She was thrilled about the engagement, she said. Just absolutely thrilled. Rochelle was so happy. Theo was such a good man. There was just one small situation, which was that Rochelle had always dreamed of a real wedding, a proper wedding, and money was a little tight right now for everyone, and she and my father had already contributed what they could, and Theo's family was doing their part, but there was still a significant gap between what they had and what Rochelle had been picturing. I asked how significant. My mother said the word significant the way people say it when they mean enormous. I want to tell you that I said no. I want to tell you that 2 decades of therapy instincts kicked in, and I very calmly said that I loved Rochelle and wished her all the happiness in the world, and that I was not in a position to fund her. I want to tell you that. What actually happened is that my mother said Rochelle had been looking at a venue in Charleston, South Carolina, which was where Rochelle had always wanted to get married because she had seen it in a magazine when she was 19. And something in me, some old and stubborn thing that I have not fully excavated yet despite the therapy money, thought about being 21 and working 2 jobs, and I thought, fine, fine. I will be the one who gives her this because nobody gave me anything and at least one of us should get what she pictured. I funded the wedding. Click the link to hear the full story.